Hello, Radio Check 1, Radio Check 2. Good afternoon, everyone. Well, hello and good afternoon, everyone. It is Tuesday, August 27th. Can you believe it? You're here with Captain Tara, and I'm coming to you live from the Churchill River on the Polar Bear International and Explore.org Beluga boat, Delphi. Before we get going, we'll acknowledge that we're on Treaty 5 territory up here in Churchill, Manitoba. So that's the traditional homelands of the Cree, Dene, Inuit, and Métis people of Canada. So welcome, everyone. I feel like it's been a while. We had a couple weather cancellations Friday of last week, and then yesterday, as it was blowing a gale up here in Churchill. It was a wild, wild weather. But I'm happy to report today it is a blue sky, minimal winds, and some lovely conditions out here on the water. There is a little bit of a swell coming in from Hudson Bay today. I imagine that has something to do with the extreme winds we felt all over the bay yesterday. So a little bit of fetch coming in, but it's pretty mild, and so far no issues, and we sure can't beat this blue sky and warm weather so late in August up here. So welcome and thanks for joining us. Appreciate your patience as we work through the questionable weather that we sometimes get here in Churchill at the end of August. But super excited to be back out here on the water with you today. We will be with you live for approximately the next 3 hours. So a little bit of an adjustment to our scheduling this week. We've got some 3-hour days stuffed in the middle of our week here, and then weather permitting, hopefully one final 4-hour tour on Friday. So if you don't know what times we're on the air, make sure you check the pinned very first post on top of our message board. Our moderators have very kindly listed the tide times and also a conversion depending on what time zone you're in. So central Manitoba, or central time here in Manitoba, is 1:45 to 4:45 today. So approximately the next 3 hours. We're probably going to be staying in the river today, as with some of the swell, I'm just observing the mouth of the bay is having some large breaking waves. I was at a community grand opening today for the Marine Observatory, so that was what was contributing to our late start today. But all morning we've just been watching some wild waves breaking on the shore as a result of the swell coming in. So as we know, Delphi's a stout girl, and she likes her calm weather a lot more than anything that's showing a little bit of white coloration in regards to water. She likes to stay in the blue. So we'll be staying within the confines of the river today for everyone's viewing enjoyment. And so far, looks a little quiet out here in terms of beluga whales, but I have spotted a few, of course, near the mouth of the bay. So I'm just getting a little bit closer, seeing how close we can get to the mouth of the river before we're dealing with too much swell coming in. But I'm excited to seek out some whales today, and who knows, maybe perhaps we'll get a little bit further upriver than we have over the last couple weeks, so it'll be nice to explore some new terrain. But either way, I'm super glad you're joining today. Once again, it's Captain Tara, and we are on the final 4 days of our beluga season. So every day we're going to get out here is special. Watching the weather really closely this week because we do have some wind warnings, which can sometimes affect our launch and retrieval of the boat. So I'm really glad that we were able to schedule in the extra 3 days this season, and hopefully that'll make up for any cancellations that we have had or may have to have as the week continues. But looking forward to talking to you guys today. It's just me on the boat, riding solo. So I'll look forward to your engagement on that message board and any questions or comments you have about our season. It's always nice to start the reminiscing a little bit early before we're shut down for the year. But water clarity is looking great today. And like I said, conditions look ideal for this afternoon. So thanks so much for joining, everyone. Looks like everybody's got the same idea on the water today, friends. So we've got our regular operating friends and tour guides out on the water today in their Zodiacs. And just as I get closer to the mouth of the river, I can see that everyone is just staying within that staying within this mouth here. Nobody's venturing out beyond the mouth of the river because, holy, with that fetch, there is damn near a surf wave out on the mouth of the river, just breaking one on the fort side, which we don't normally see, and then the one that we do normally see breaking in front of Cape Mary on the east side of the river mouth opening is larger than normal, but very, very exciting to see a whitewater wash breaking near the Fort Prince Wales there. It's a little bit surprising if you're not watching for it. So it looks like everybody's staying in the mouth of the river today. So keep your eyes peeled on that on-deck cam for some of our friends with Sea North out on the water as well. I think perhaps they're down to Zodiacs this season as everything is slowing down for September. So I'm not sure if we'll see the big old Sea North 2 out on the water for the rest of the week. But certainly lots of Zodiacs as we are still hosting many guests in Churchill, and lots of people have come up for the Marine Observatory and some exciting talks that we're doing in regards to Arctic waters and climate change this week. So hopefully all those people get to get out on the water and enjoy the belugas that we love to see out here every day. I'll just turn the boat, and perhaps in the distance you might be able to see that that little fetch and breaking waves I'm referring to. It'll be the large white thing on the horizon. But yeah, kind of a rare sight to see that, at least this time of year. And I've spotted our first little pair of beluga buddies just behind the boat off the port side, off the port corner. Looks like a couple of adolescents doing some slow in and outs on the water. So we have found some whales. We'll see if we can't find more of their friends here. Hello and good afternoon, Cat Crazy, and of course all our cam ops there on the message board. Just wanted to maybe inform you guys too. So, the Marine Observatory here in Churchill, that's that big white dome building that we often drive by that's near the Parks Canada Cape Mary location. So for some of our longtime viewers, you've definitely seen that building, and I'll do my best to show it to you today as well. But what's really neat about today, so they were doing a grand opening and a plaque unveiling for sort of one of the founding fathers that made the Marine Observatory in Churchill possible. So that was the event that I was attending this morning. But what was really neat is just kind of like learning about sort of some of the things they do there, and they're doing some science experiments this afternoon, or some science demonstrations, I should say, which unfortunately I wasn't able to stick around for because obviously it's a great day out to be out here on the water. But what was really neat, and I think we'll be able to get it in the camera today, is they opened up the roof. So that Marine Observatory has an ability to open its roof, and we can actually see that from the water. So once I get over there, you'll notice that it looks like there's two white halves now with a very big gap in the middle, and it kind of looks like it's in the shape of a Quonset for all my farmers out there. So it's basically just like a half dome. Sometimes that farmers use to store grain. That's a Quonset, and the Marine Observatory is in that shape as well. And I had heard that the roof retracted, but I always somehow assumed that it would just sort of like retract on that half dome. But what it actually does is that it spreads apart. So it ends up like the both ends of it are just sliding out and then creating essentially like a bigger space in that half circle. But we can actually see that from the water. So it's a beautiful afternoon. I imagine they're going to leave it open for the duration of the day. So as I get closer to the east side of the river, I'll make sure just to highlight that for you guys to see, because it's a pretty neat construction feat, I have to say as well. And my understanding is they partnered with local businesses to build that as well. So we love to see that here in Churchill. And I'm excited to attend a few more talks this week in regards to plans for the future, and what the Arctic Research Group would like to see, and what the observatory would like to help with, and some feedback from the community, and of course just some experts in their field regarding Arctic research and how climate change is affecting not only the Arctic but also the marine mammals and the water in the area. So I'm hoping to get some super fun facts to share by the end of the week. Oh, Cloud, always saving me with the visual references. Thanks so much for sharing those two photos, Cloud. That nighttime one of the observatory is absolutely stunning. And for anybody looking at that second picture with that white dome, again, sort of what they do is they slide it over the rest of that building that sort of looks exposed on the right hand side. The building, like the white building, sort of splits in the middle and then slides over that so they can have the pools of water be exposed to, like, the air, the snow, the hail, whatever. If they need to do that, they can open up the building and have like fresh exposure, and then also like cover another section. So those are some very, very beautiful photos. Because my understanding, it wasn't the actual grand opening, because the Marine Observatory has obviously been open for a little while, but they sort of do it once every couple of years. And again, this one was more about commemorating, like I said, a founding father in the development of that research in that facility. So a lovely plaque is going to go up in memorandum to that gentleman whose name is escaping me right now, but I will definitely come back. It's just on the tip of my tongue. Give me one moment. Dr. David Barber. um, so essentially, this gentleman had been working on this project for a very long time in conjunction with University of Manitoba. I think they also referenced the Center for Earth Observation Science. I know University of Calgary was involved. Just a ton of people really making that whole project come to fruition. And I know there was a lot of thanks to a lot of very special individuals. And then unfortunately, it seems that in 2018, the railroad had some damage due to some permafrost melting, and essentially was literally off the rails for 18 months, sort of limiting access to Churchill, and then of course COVID, limiting access again for a couple of years. Apparently, Mr. David Barker Barber, excuse me, wasn't actually able to see sort of his like lifelong dream and mission come to fruition. So they had his family there, his wife and his son and a grandchild, who were there for the plaque unveiling and a ribbon cutting, and it was very lovely. So really great to see everybody out from University of Manitoba and Calgary and Winnipeg, and they had some government officials and some elders and of course his family, just sort of celebrating the accomplishments of not only that man but everybody who worked really hard to bring that together. So super neat to be a part of that. And I should be able to turn. I'm about in the middle of the river right now, so I'm still a little bit far away, but that big white building is just so prominent sitting on the hill there. So I think once you guys catch it in that on-deck cam, it's going to look like two buildings. But that's just, as I mentioned, the separation of the roof. So really neat sort of like engineering feat, a really unique building here in Churchill. And it was really cool to be there when that happened, because I've never actually seen it open before. So enjoy. Hello, friends. I have transitioned to the east side of the river in hopes to get a better vantage point on the building I've been speaking of, the Churchill Marine Observatory. And now that we're over here, I sure am noticing some of that swell refraction. It's a fair bit more bumpy over here, really similar to the wake of a larger boat driving by us. Definitely wasn't feeling this on the west side of the river, but I feel like perhaps as the swell is coming into that mouth with some of the shallow water, it's refracting off some edges and then pushing over to the east side and a little bit more of a closely timed wave. Unfortunately, I'm not really seeing a lot more belugas over here. Had a little pod there on the west side that I was able to keep in the camera for a little while. And I've seen one or two over here, but I wouldn't say that the viewing on this side is any better. So I think what I'm going to do is do a quick turn and head over to a little bit more of that calmer water. And then as we are heading away, we should be able to get a closer view of that observatory building with the roof open. So to the west side, I shall return and just keep your eyes peeled on that on-deck cam to see that roof opened wide up. thanks again, Cloud, for sharing all those wonderful links, especially the one about Dr. Barber. I certainly don't have the amazing words that were shared with him at the plaque unveiling today. So, really appreciate you sharing that link to the research that he was doing. I think that's a really important point that everybody was super graciously hitting home today, and certainly he couldn't be thanked enough for that vision. So really, really appreciate you sharing those links and those awesome pictures of the retraction. Appreciate you so much. Oh, thank you, Cat Crazy. I very much appreciate you saying that. It's always my number one concern if I should say more or say less. But especially when I'm out here on the water on my own, it's certainly nice to have some engagement from you guys and see all the information you share. I'm always telling people what a little community we have here, and it feels, oftentimes we're alone in our houses, or even me on the boat, or and it's crazy how connected I still feel doing all this, and just judging from what I see on the message board and the way all our cam ops and our picture takers and just regular old viewers are interacting with each other. It feels like a really special community. So thank you just for having me be a part of it, and I appreciate that you guys like interacting as much as I do. And of course, with our beluga friends, when we can interact with them as well. But I am on the hunt today because, gosh, they are being a little bit elusive. But in good news, I think that some of the other boats seem to have dissipated. And over the summer, we've seemed to have had pretty good luck after the other boats leave. So fingers crossed that that happens today, because I sure could use some beluga buddies out here on the water. And of course, you guys at home. So again, as always, thanks so much for tuning in. Appreciate you. Fear not, beluga buddies. I have spotted a little grouping here in the middle of the river, which is the perfect place to be. The sun will be shining on the boat, keeping everything nice and warm. Just moving slowly towards the pod as to not bother them as they're looking like they're exhibiting some lazy feeding behavior. But yeah, definitely a few more numbers than I've seen today, especially in a centralized group. So they're here. I feel like they're coming out of the woodwork. I'm the only boat I can see on the water right now, I think. At least in this area. I think I see one down the river. But fingers crossed. I know you guys are ready. We've had more days off than we have all year. So fingers crossed that we get some action on that underwater cam here as we get a little bit closer. Well, gang, you all certainly have it right that it is indeed a beautiful day on the water. And with the sun behind me, it is making that water twinkle just so, isn't it? Not to mention lighting up the water for the underwater cam. I'm noticing just on the screen that I'm seeing it looks very clear in that beautiful teal type blue color with clearly some sun rays on it, lightening the water up. If only we could find some whale friends. It very much a quiet day on the water. Like I said, I've seen a few, but they're kind of just always doing their own thing off to the side, and then I'm trying to casually sort of position myself beside them. And usually, by the time I get turned around, I kind of have lost where they've gone to. So we're just making our way north again towards the mouth of the river, and then I'm hoping I'll just drift back down with the swell and be joined by some beluga buddies, because it's certainly a great day for photos, especially that underwater one. But as always with nature, we don't make the schedule. So yes, I encourage I think it was Buffykins to go to the kitchen, and I'm going to put away my camera because I pulled out my camera, so perhaps I jinxed us in that way. But I'm happy to report I did wear all the long cold weather gear today, so we're guaranteed to have sunshine until we're off the water, just because I'm wearing all the layers today just in case. But fingers crossed. You guys know how it goes. As the last few trips we've been out, it always seems to sort of start slowly and then pick up near the end, so hopefully we're just on track with that. Well, friends, we may be slow on belugas today, but it seems that there is a bear in the water right across from the port. So I am currently going in the opposite direction of the bear, and there are some boats behind the bear. So those boats, I happen to know that they are locally owned, so they are definitely trying to get that bear to swim away from the port. So I'm going to be sure to stay out of the way because I am currently on the side that bear should go. So we want that bear to head away from the port and over towards the Fort of Prince Wales. So I'm just going to get out of the way, but I will turn in such a fashion that that on-deck cam might be able to catch that white spot in the water just in front of the silver boats. So that's very exciting news. Slow beluga day, but alas, a bear in the water. So again, I'm just going to do my best to not agitate or interfere with that bear. And those two local boats are definitely going to be notifying the appropriate authorities and no doubt trying to make sure that that bear doesn't end up swimming into the port or town location. So exciting things happening today. Okay, Beluga buddies. So here's the current update. Um, Looks like the other two boats of my local friends might have to go into shore and drop some guests off. But we were certainly doing our best to keep the bear away from the town and port side. It looks like currently he is swimming towards the west side of the river, which is where we would want him to go, as that is an uninhabited area. But in the meantime, looks like my friends might have to go drop some guests off. So bear with me. Pun not intended, but that's funny. Bear with me because I am the only boat here right now. So I'm just kind of going to want to keep a safe distance behind this bear so that he doesn't decide to turn around and head towards town again. So unfortunately, my beluga hunt has stopped here for a moment. And I'm just going to try to hold, like I said, hold this position safely behind the bear so he doesn't feel agitated. And he's just going to keep swimming in that westward direction back towards the fort and the point where we do normally see those bears. So, yeah, bear with me. This is an unexpected turn of events. Well, I have to say, Beluga Buddies, it is a thing to see a polar bear swimming in the water. We all know they're marine mammals and certainly designed and good at swimming, but even just myself, I think we had a high tide today of 2:45, so in theory, we're about an hour after high tide, so that tide is going out. And I am making my way up the river, which is seemingly the direction that our bear friend is going. And he is making good speed. Like, I'm just at an idle pace here. My speed over ground ranging in between like 1 and 2 at about 700 RPM here. Just like I said, just in idle. And that bear is maintaining a level with me just across. So it seemed like he was heading where we wanted him to go, to the west side, but then there was another boat, so maybe that deterred him, and now he's wanting to head up the river. I myself am just keeping distance, not going to attempt to direct the bear in any way. I'm just trying to stay in between him and the port at a safe distance, like I said, hoping that he maybe decides to just take a turn away and head out into the abyss of the tundra. But seems he is just man with a mission there, and he's just heading straight up the river right down the middle. But yeah, what elegant swimmers they are. Jeez Louise. My apologies for not being able to put that on the camera. Like I said, I just this is more of a full focus for me right now. So I'm just, like I said, trying to travel alongside. So currently off to my starboard side, almost dead even with the boat. So not sure if cam ops would be able to pick that up by pointing the camera off to the starboard side. But almost just right in front of that marker is right in line with where he is swimming right now. So if you can see that marker on land, you might be able to see that little head poking out. Okay, and in play-by-play, turn of a literal good turn, I've got him just behind me in that on-deck cam, just trying to keep straight with the swell, but he is hard to spot, but it looks like he might actually be heading towards that west coast now, as me and the other boat are both on the same. And just in the nick of time, because it looks like our other friends might be heading back out too. So yeah, that's good news. Bear heading in the right direction. Good for people, good for bears. Just like Just like protecting our sea ice. Good for people, good for bears. So that was exciting. Oh boy. Allow me a moment to catch my breath, and we'll just make sure that the bear is definitely going the other way, and we can just kind of not worry about focusing on that full time, and hopefully get back to our beluga hunt. What a day! Well, friends, what I always say, never a dull moment in Churchill. Just when you think you're having a slow, relaxing day, not a lot going on, bingo, bango, barrow. Just swimming down the barrio here. And it's just they blend in so well. Like there's just a little bit of, like I said, a little bit of wave action today from that fetch, or swell, coming in from the weather we had yesterday. And if he's not just poking his little head out and you're mindful of it, gosh, it's really easy to miss him. So that was wild. So as always with a bear sighting, conservation has been notified, and they're going to keep an eye out for him just in case he does decide to make a turn to town. But I did end up actually losing him in the sparkle sunshine. So I was trying to watch through my giant camera lens because I really can't see that far, especially in conditions like this. It's really easy to lose him. So I was just watching through my giant camera lens, but with that sun sparkling and reflecting on the water, he just kind of got in the mix of that, and add that to a little bit of waves, and I'm hoping he was swimming further away, and that's why I got him. So yeah, hopefully all's well that ends well. Conservation will keep a lookout, and hopefully Mr. Bearman makes his way to the west side. In other fun news, so we were out Thursday. The last time we were out on the water was Thursday. And I had my special F&A guest, Jim Baldwin, renowned buggy driver for F&A for many years now. So he's been coming to Churchill for quite a long time. But if you were with us on Thursday, you remember we went out to the point before the weather got bad, and we saw 2 bears. And we were thinking, were they adolescent bears? Were they friend bears? Was it a mom and a cub? Because what we thought maybe to be the cub was quite large. Like the bears almost looked the same size, which was pretty wild, but they were sort of exhibiting mom-cub behavior. Which in hindsight may have just been one bear being a little bit more dominant than the other one, because I was working at the Polar Bears International Interpretive Center on Saturday, because of course we had to cancel on Friday, and I was working at the PBI house on Saturday, and many of the guests who came in told me that they were out on the water that day and saw 2 bears off the point sparring. So sparring's another word for sort of play roughhousing. A lot of times sparring is maybe almost similar to like bear boxing, but it does involve some rolling around and tumbling and whatnot. But basically kind of 2 bears using their front paws almost like humans would in a boxing ring or something like that, but bear style. So yeah, the guest said that not only did they see these bears sparring in the water, but also saw them then sparring on land like an hour later when they did another drive-by. So that wouldn't be behavior normal for a mom and cub per se. So perhaps it was maybe a couple adolescent bears, which would be really interesting, that they were like hanging out together and also just, using up that kind of energy. Normally we don't see sparring behavior from bears until later on in the fall, out on the tundra usually, and they're getting a bit restless and, waiting to get out on the ice so they can go seal hunting. But a common behavior with adolescent bears is kind of how they learn how big they are, start to figure out where they sort of fall in line in terms of big bear, small bear, strong bear, weak bear. So the sparring behavior quite normal, but not usually something we see in the summertime. And again, myself, I would be asking the people who have been here in the summers a lot longer than I have, but my understanding too is we often don't see adolescent bears sort of paired up in the summer. Everybody's kind of on their own, just resting when they get off the ice, and then as the season for them to get out on the ice draws closer, we start to see them getting a little bit more in each other's space and territories and having a little bit more engagements because they've obviously been off the ice for the longest at that time, so they're starting to get a bit restless and scrappy about food and stuff like that. But what a sight to see that would have been. So even given the opportunity, we would have headed out to the point today if we thought the weather was going to support that. But I'm actually anxious to get back out there hopefully this week before we're off the water, and we'll be able to hopefully see some behavior that'll tell us if we think that that's mom and cub or two adolescents. Because like I said, just interesting news from some of the tourists in town on Saturday. Just saw the report from Being Still. 112 Fahrenheit. That's like 44, 45 degrees Celsius. That is insanely hot. Oh my gosh. Compared to the day we had yesterday, woo! I was freezing my tail off because that wind yesterday. Crazy that you're sitting at 45. Goodness gracious. Stay cool. Well, friends, we're on our last 45 minutes. I think our little bear bash there took up some time on our beluga hunting. And again, my apologies for that. It just when spotted, need to be mindful about locationing and whatnot, just to get that bear safely where he needs to go. So now, being that I lost sight of him, hopefully heading to the west, I'm going to stay on the east side just to make sure that we're not going to whoopsie daisy bump into him, and most importantly, not bother him on his way trying to get to the land away from town. So we're a little bit restricted now. I'm just going to hang out here in the middle and then again in front of the port, where I have seen some belugas today. But geez, not a lot of engagement underwater, hey? Looked like we had some like subtle and casual and very relaxed feeding behavior in some small pods, but they didn't seem to be too interested in us. That's for sure. maybe they also had a very exciting day yesterday with the weather, and they're just exhausted from the sound of all the rain and the wind, and are just keeping their distance. But either way, we've got another 40 minutes or so out here, and we're going to do our darndest to find some of these belugas and hope that they want to come say hello to us. But as a reminder, we do have some modified hours this week. So tomorrow we're actually running at the same time as we did today, so 1:45 to 4:45 Central Time. If we can sneak a little bit longer on the water tomorrow, I certainly will do that. We'll just have to see what the weather's like and how quickly we can get off the water, just due to, again, some of those Churchill Marine Observatory events that are happening this week. So do double check our modified hours on that pinned post at the top of the message board. And thanks again to our moderators for making sure it's easy for everyone to find our times on the water. Hey, Cat Crazy, see your comment there. Is it possible the two bears sparring have been emancipated siblings? Honestly, like, I think anything's possible, and I think that's a super educated guess. I don't know the exact process of mama bears kicking out, their cubs. I don't know if we've ever sort of documented that. I know I've seen a couple little videos where moms sort of like shoo them away and chase them and get mad and like, you've got to go on your own there, baby cub, get out of here. So it's absolutely possible that two siblings would have just stuck it together that first year as they're growing up. Otherwise, I'm not so sure that two rando adolescents would find one another and sort of hang out and behave like that. I mean, it's not to say it couldn't have even been a mom and a cub sort of maybe having that sparring, more playful behavior. Certainly that could happen as well. But again, it's all second and third hand information from me. And I do sort of just take a little grain of salt with everything I hear, especially from people that aren't from the area. Jeez, sorry. But I think it's a good theory. I'm gonna put that question and I'm gonna put that out to some of my long-term local bear guides, bear friends, and see if that's possibly some behavior that they've seen. But I imagine that the answer is probably yes to both. That it could have been a mom and a cub, sort of maybe messing around, or even, like you said, a couple siblings that have been. Maybe just recently given the boot from mom or something like that. So I'll see what my friends have to say about that. Maybe we'll take that one up tomorrow. As always, thanks for the question. Okay, Beluga buddies, we've still got about another 20 minutes or so on the water, but I think I am going to sign off of the mic for that. Maybe the silence will change things with our whale friends. But again, just as I am on my own today, I'm just going to sign off to sort of prep for my boat retrieval. I do just want to give everybody a heads up. Sadly, we are forecast to have some high winds tomorrow afternoon. High winds and even higher gusts. So I don't like those gusts, especially for the launch and retrieval. But we'll see how she goes. Either way, I will be down at the water. I think I'm scheduled to have a couple guests tomorrow, so we'll do our darndest to get out here if we can. But in the event that something goes astray and we are not able to head out tomorrow, do know that I'm here for Thursday, and I'm also looking at Friday, and there is some wind on Friday scheduled, but not near as high as tomorrow. So don't leave me yet, friends. We are going to try to get out the remaining 3 days if we can this week. And again, please don't be deterred if we don't make it on tomorrow. I'll just remind everybody, we were scheduled to have today be our last day. So even if we end up with a few days of cancellation, we're still technically getting the same amount of beluga whale watching days as scheduled. So keep your fingers crossed and bear with me as we just navigate the weather this week. And again, just hoping for the best, because any day out on the water, even the slow days like today, are still pretty lovely and magical. So I'll just go ahead and say thank you. Thank you for joining me today and hanging out for our 3-hour tour. I know that underwater cam was really slow today. I might say the slowest I've ever seen. But we still got some time to see that turn around. You never know. The last 5 or 10 minutes of the tour has often been quite entertaining after I sign off the mic. So I'm going to keep my fingers and toes crossed for that. But thank you to our viewers for joining, and all our camera operators and the moderators managing the message board and putting up all that extra info for us. We really appreciate it. And then just everybody tuning in for the duration and trying to snap those photos for our Citizen Science Beluga Bits project. It is greatly appreciated. As always, Polar Bears International and Explore.org for putting us out here on the water. And Polar Bears International, just special shout out today for teaching me how to act around bears and how to act around bears on a boat and stuff. So grateful for that knowledge, especially on days like today when you see the unexpected. So thanks everyone so much for joining. Again, if we can head out tomorrow, it's 1:45 to 4:45 Central Time. And if not, I will see you on Thursday. So just double check that pinned post on the message board to translate into your time zone. And if it's 45 degrees or 114 degrees Celsius where you're at, stay cool, get in the shade, and hopefully join us tomorrow with some air conditioning. Thanks so much, everyone. Captain Tara signing off for today. Bye.